Nationalism. Spirituality versus nationalism, to be specific. Now, spirituality and nationalism are polarizing forces. Nationalism comes from this tribal essence within us that has to do with our survival as a species when it comes to instinct. Now, instinct that rules a human being makes a human being less than his potential, less than her potential. Brothers and sisters, humanity is much more than our primal need to physically survive and keep our tribe whole, that we may fight other tribes. Because when we truly get back to the idea of, okay, this is my tribe, we think of ourselves as packs, like packs of wolves, packs of different kinds of animals that prey on other packs or defend their own territory only to take it from others later. Hypocritical. We become hypocritical when we rely on our instincts, when we rely only on our instincts to consider ourselves human. To truly accept ourselves as human beings, we must transcend what it feels like to be an animal, what it is to be an animal. We are much more within. We have the potential to be much more and go out into the cosmos and spread ourselves as one humanity. A single, you can say, race, but really there is of course only one race, humanity. So we are one race, one human race that has nothing to do with these separations that people attach themselves to. Countries take up nationalism because they are afraid. This fear is perpetuated when one allows oneself to think his nation, his tribe, his race is separate from every other, is opposed to every other, that there is only enough resources and time and peace in one's heart for one's nation. This is false. One can go beyond one's tribe. One can accept that all human beings are part of the same family. And if we learn to get rid of all this differentiation within, all this tribalism within, then our spirit is free from that fear of other tribes, of other nations. Free of fear even from one's government, or certainly one's neighbors. Free from fear of all of the different things that comes with a nationalistic identity. A nationalistic identity can be racial, it can be based on, one's nation, it can be based on one's political group, and all of these things tear us apart as a human race. The human race is one, and with this idea that we can only survive as separate groups, and my group is what I have to support in order to basically be human, to continue the kind of humanity that I want to continue, is false. In order for all of humanity to survive the coming years, the coming decades, the coming centuries, we must not look at what nation we're a part of. These things are non-corporeal, they are temporal, they are very much bound by time and temporary identity. There is an identity just behind all of this temporary identity that is timeless, that is more infinite than the edges of any one individual's body or all individuals' bodies. Reality is a mesh of consciousness. And when this consciousness is what we shoot for and not try to seek identity based in this material reality, based in this temporary material state we find ourselves in that we call life, when we seek that consciousness that is beyond our everyday understanding of life, that is when we find true union. And in true union, there is joy. In true union, there is happiness. In true union, there is infinity. And what do human beings truly seek? Human beings truly seek infinity. They truly seek to go beyond our borders. A lot of people place this and misunderstand this urge within us as human beings, as self-aware pieces of consciousness. They place it in the idea that we have to push our national borders. Our nation has to control as much as possible. Our tribe has to be as strong as possible and destroy as many other tribes as possible, or at least control them for as much as possible. But that is a misplaced judgment of this inner urge to go beyond boundaries. If we destroy these national boundaries, if we destroy these ideas that my tribe, my nation, my political group, even my religion is separate from every other, then we reach a level of self-perpetuating infinity, self-perpetuating love and peace. When we accept that all life on this planet is working towards one goal, a united sustainability, then we can cooperate as a human race, then we can cooperate with our planet, then we reach a sustainable outward life, external life, and spiritual life, which has an infinite sustainability and perpetuation to the extent that as a one human race we can work together to expand our understanding of consciousness, to expand our understanding of who we are within, every single individual reaching deep into themselves and finding that piece that we call the soul, and following that thread back to the soul that everything's a part of, that is just behind everything. If you follow your own soul thread back far enough, you will find that it is connected to every other soul, and souls behind everything. Thus, everything is one. Thus, everything is a heightened state of consciousness. But ignorance, hatred, anger, passion for one's own instead of passion for life itself is what holds us back. It's what creates these barriers. When we choose to hate somebody else because they have a different culture, because they have a different skin color, because they have a different political idea, or they're a part of a different nation, then we basically create fear within ourselves and cut ourselves off from infinity, because we have chosen to live within this body, this time, and this tribe that we find ourselves in. We have chosen to limit ourselves within the boundaries that were given to us or that we've happened upon with our roving intellect that has chosen to rest in one place instead of continuing to expand. And if we allow our intellect, if we allow our personhood, our self-identity to rest in one place and not continue to expand to encompass all other peoples, all other nations, all other life forms, then we will always be limited. We will always be confined, and we will always have this terrible need to go beyond our limits that is never accomplished. But if we get rid of all these things, then infinity can be accomplished. And infinity and spirituality have they're basically the same substance. True spirituality is infinity. True understanding of consciousness, of the value of life, and how it can only exist in cooperation as it does in nature. That kind of understanding can perpetuate our own awareness to go beyond the bounds of nationalism, tribalism. Now, you can say, okay, in nature, different species fight, and then certain, even animals in one particular group or species are cold when they're too weak. The rest of nature has a diversity great enough in order to compensate for that. If we cull members of our own so-called group, if we fight other groups, the thing about humanity is that we don't have this united diversity that can survive this cataclysm. Now, if we were more united as nature is, and less focused on this separation that only the human intellect can imagine, then people would die naturally, but they wouldn't die because of being a part of a different tribe, or being a part of a different class, or being a part of a different political or religious group. They would only die naturally, as in nature. That is natural. But if we aid the natural cycle, if we differentiate, and this is what nature does not do, if we differentiate and go beyond what we can learn from nature, even if we're not caught up in it or embrace our instincts like in nature, then we do not have the avenues of approach to progress that nature does, because we don't have this united diversity. When we look within, it isn't looking at the stars. The stars, with space seems vast, it seems wonderful, and it is. But our own inner diversity in every individual can be scoped out, can be traversed, can be explored, just like the universe. Except all we need is to look within, every individual looking within. And then eventually we'll start to realize that our inner domains are very large and wonderful, even more so than space. But it all leads back to the same source. And that source is something that you may call by one name or another. You might call it by one God's name or another God's name, or one monotheistic name for it, or one spirit's name. But if we're in the realm of religion or nationalism, for nationalists, God is basically the nation, because of this tribal survival instinct that they've embraced. They've chosen not to use their human intellect either to go beyond one's bounds or to embrace and truly see the similarity between all things. And when one refuses to use the intellect in that way, to the proper way that it was always meant to be used in human beings, then spirituality, religion, nationalism, they become separate tribes and confines that one cannot break free from. So I urge you, brothers and sisters, to break beyond these confines, to look at yourself deep enough to where you see everyone else reflected in yourself. And this doesn't mean that you identify with a certain culture or a group or a political group or a religion and see yourself just reflected in that other group. You see your religion reflected in every other. That religion reflected in you. Every spirituality reflected in you, in your own spirituality. Every single culture, ethnicity, skin color, type of person, type of personality reflected in yourself. And only through this deep yearning to look without, being turned within, do we find these threads, these connections, and this wonder that is so much greater than one's tribe, one's nation, and even the space around us. So look within, brothers and sisters. Take up arms against your own ignorance, against your own fear, against your own hatred, against your own darkness. Fight within, and we will not have to fight without. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been interesting. If you like this video at all, hit that thumbs up down there. It helps out the channel. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or you just want to say something, shoot it down in the comment section below. I try to respond to all comments. I eventually get to them. There's been a lot recently. But thank you very much for watching. Look within and encourage others to do so that we don't have to fight without.